Assalamu alaikum. I'm your Arabic teacher Sam, and a very warm welcome back to the Arabic in 60 Steps YouTube channel. And also welcome as well to this whole series that we're doing on this 10-day countdown to our relaunch on the 1st of June 2021. Don't know when you guys will be watching this. That's the nature of all this platform, isn't it? That some of you guys might be watching this in 2023 or whatever. So let's get into it, inshallah. So in the previous lesson, we talked about one of the most common questions that students in the Arabic in 60 Steps program have to do with the meeting of two sukoons and why on earth a kasra appears in that particular situation. So if you haven't watched that, then you can go back and check that out and then catch up with us. So in this particular video, we're talking about something, a really common question that students have and sometimes they overlook. And this is actually in step 9. This is when we talk about hollow verbs. Hollow verbs require students to do a little bit of practice, really. Everything you need we do cover in the videos, but it's quite a steep jump for that particular step. But something that students often overlook is when we do these active participles. What do I mean by an active participle? At this stage in the program, what we mean is something pretty much in the fa'ilun pattern. Let me write that up for you guys. So it's pretty much something in the fa'ilun pattern. In the whole scope of the Arabic language, that's not the only pattern that active participles occur in. But at this stage in the program it is, and for most of Arabic it will serve you actually. Okay, so when we're talking about the active participle, we call it this. We call it the ism fa'il. The ism fa'il. That's what we'll call it for now. So usually, with all of these kind of what we call strong verbs in the program, they fit very nicely into this pattern. So for example, words that we talked about in the previous lesson actually. The root letters kataba fit very nicely into it. We get a katibun. So as that's the passive participle, the active participle rather, that's the active participle of kataba, right? So a writer. A writer is a katib. Or if we have the word that we mentioned in the last one, abada, meaning worship, right? So someone who does abada is an abid. So we have the word abidun, a worshipper. Some of you guys might have met someone called abid in their life. So yeah, that's a nice name, someone who is engaged regularly in worship. So you can see how katib and abid, they fit nicely into this fa'il pattern. But we end up with a bit of a problem when we don't have 3 consonants anymore. We come across verbs like this, like qala, the verb qala, which means to say something. Qala is the most common verb in the Quran. It occurs about 1,800 times in the Quran. Another really common one from the Quran is this verb kana. Kana. I mean, kana and qala together occur about 3,000 times in the Quran. They're such common verbs. I mean, if you think about that, like between them combined, they occur 3,000 times in the Quran. There's only like 600 pages in the Quran, so like on average, they'll appear like 5 times on every page. Just by learning and mastering these 2 verbs that we do in step 9 of the program and step 10 as well. You cover a significant amount of vocab you need to actually piece together an understanding of the Quran. Anyway, so like qala, kana. Another nice example of this is perhaps the verb sama. We've just finished the month of Ramadan as I'm recording this, so many of us are familiar with this verb sama, meaning to fast. Good, so how would a verb like that fit into it? I mean, when we have fa'il, what do we do with this letter here? Because we've just got a vowel there. Well, what do we do with it? So often the mistake that students make is by assuming that it will take its root letter. So for example, if we look at the verb qala, its root letters are actually qaf, waw and lam in this case. Hence where we have the word a qawl, which means a statement, and its present tense is yaqulu. So waw is actually its root letter. So students may think this, I'm going to put this in red because this is not the correct answer. It's just what students kind of, when they're on their toes and they need to provide a solution to this, they think that a person who is doing the speaking is a qawilun. Qawilun. Or, if we had a verb like ba'a, which means to sell. Ba'a, its root letters are actually ba, ya and ayn, hence why its present tense is yabi'u. They might think this. They might think that its ism fa'il is ba'i', ba'i'un. Those are incorrect. With that's not what we do. What we do is something much easier. One of the most challenging things about hollow verbs is remembering on a verb-by-verb basis what its root letters are. You don't need to worry about that when you do the active participle, because all you do is you replace it with this letter. A hamza al-ya, so a hamza on like a ya shape, regardless of what its root letters are, right? So much easier than remembering that, You know, qala, its root letter is waw, so it'll be qawil. Or with ba'a, remembering its middle root letter is a ya. The reality is much easier than this problem that sometimes students create for themselves. Actually, so let's replace that. A person who does selling is a ba'i'. There's a hamza in the middle like that, ba'i'. That's what we do. And we do exactly the same instead of this waw here. We have a qa'il. Qa'ilun is a person who is a sayer. We don't really say a sayer in English. We'd say like a speaker or something. But in Arabic, there's a different word. A mutakallim is someone who's a speaker, but someone who is saying something is a qa'il. We use the verb qala for that. That verb is used many times in the Quran actually, but most memorably, probably for most of us, is in Surah Yusuf. قَالَ قَائِلٌ مِّنْهُمْ لَا تَقْتُلُوا يُوسُف. So a speaker from among them. قَالَ قَائِلٌ مِّنْهُمْ, from them. A speaker from among them said, لَا تَقْتُلُوا يُوسُف. Do not kill Yusufa. Do not kill Yusuf. So that's what we do, right? The actual solution is much easier than the problem, as I say, that students often create for themselves. So just for me to demonstrate, I mean, let's not do the verb kana. I mean, the active part, the word ka'in is a word, but we don't need it here. So qala, the active participle, is actually qa'il. Ba'a is one that I'll push to the end, so it lines up with its past tense. Sama, so the root letters of sama are actually sad, waw, and mim, hence its present tense being yasumu, and its mustard, or its most common mustard, being sawm. So sometimes students assume that it's sawim, a person who is fasting, but a person who is fasting is actually a sa'im, sa'imun. So if you're saying that you're fasting today, you can say ana sa'imul yawm. I'm sa'imun al-yawma. I am a faster today. Good. So that is everything for this particular lesson. That's something quite common that students get mixed up with when we do hollow verbs. But I have good news for you, that actually the actual way you do it is much easier than what some of you students have been thinking when you've been coming across that. So that's everything for this particular video. Please come back and join us in our next episode tomorrow. So I wanted to let you guys know as well that all of these episodes are available on our podcast. We've recently reached a really cool milestone on the podcast of 300,000 downloads. So I'd like to thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart for being part of that, for being part of the journey, and for supporting it as well. And yeah, so that's everything for this particular video. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll be going over another really common question that students have on the Arabic in 60 Steps program as part of our 10-day countdown to the 1st of June when we are relaunching the program. So see you guys tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.